A major supermarket chain is asking the government to improve trespass laws, saying the current system does not have enough teeth. Woolworths New Zealand, which also franchises SuperValue and Fresh Choice, wants the government to do more to stop violence against retail workers. It has seen a 9% increase in acts of violence and aggression in the past year to 925, up from 848. Physical assaults have increased by 50%, and in the last 12 months, they've had 329 incidents of physical violence. Now, the company had invested in a range of security measures. Staff are still being threatened and hurt in broad daylight, many by repeat offenders. And this is why the company believes that the current trespass laws are not fit for purpose. What this does is this highlights the real dangers facing all retail workers. Retailers of every size, from small owner-operated dairies right through to large format stores such as the supermarkets, are being harmed. Carolyn Young is the CEO of Retail New Zealand, and she joins me. Good afternoon, Carolyn.
Kia ora.
Great to talk to you again. Thanks for being on the show. Do you know some of the reasons or what you think are behind the rise in retail crime?
Look, thanks for having us, and we're seeing it right across the board in terms of a rise in retail crime, and it's really quite distressing for a number of business owners and people working in retail. What we're actually seeing is, and there's a couple of things. Firstly, there's a lot of recidivist offenders. So there's a lot of people that are committing offences in a retail store. They potentially are being arrested. They're going through the court system, being charged, and then they're coming back out and reoffending again. So there's a lot of repeat offenders still happening through the system. So the justice system isn't working as a deterrent for the crimes, and so what we're really wanting to see is some changes so that there are some deterrents. And if you're not deterred, you're going to keep on going again. What we also know is that offenders are smart people. It's their job, that's what they do for a living, and they're looking at ways in which they can infiltrate weaknesses within business systems. And when they find a weakness, they go in, they test it out. If they're successful, then they go through potentially that brand. They'll go through a whole lot of the stores and do the same thing across the range as they find weaknesses within the system. So there's a whole raft of challenges that sit there within around how do you combat some of the things that are happening, and there's no one solution for retail crime, but as Woolworths have mentioned, looking at strengthening the laws around trespass and making them fit for a modern environment is one of those things that we think would be helpful.
So that's interesting, that one. So do you think Retail New Zealand would back that? You think that's you'd support a change to the trespassing laws? Because what Woolworths wants, which I'm sure you're aware of, is not just trespassing them from a particular store, but from all of their stores. So that's I read as one of the factors. But then if that happened, just let's say the law was like, okay, well, we trespass you from Birkenhead Woolworths, you can now go to no Woolworths in New Zealand or subsidiary of. If the other supermarkets jumped on board because the laws changed, people have to go to supermarkets.
That's right. Look, I probably can't comment on the extent of what the trespass should look like. I'm not sure I'm 100% aligned with that piece in terms of looking at a supermarket, which is a primary store that people need to visit. Their argument is that you can buy products online, so you can buy online, and therefore if you need food, you can do it that way.
Sure.
The piece that I think with the trespass law is that it's actually was established a long time ago. It's set up largely, really, when you think about it, for a home environment around your neighbour trespassing on your property, where you know the person, you know their address, you know their name, and it's easy to implement. In 2024, where someone's been offending in your store and you want to trespass them from coming back into your store, you don't necessarily know all of those details. They're unlikely to give them to you willingly. So it's much harder to implement, and it's really difficult to enforce. So there's some other legislation that we're looking at in Australia and overseas around what does that look like and how would that apply in a New Zealand setting. And we're working with retailers and government to, work through some suggestions and try and come out with something logistical that will work for everyone and be impactful, but, have a framework that means that it's going to mean something or have some legs to it.
Yeah, because Police Minister Mark Mitchell, who, is a regular on the show, so we, I put to him, what are you guys up to now? And, he said the government was taking a number of steps to address retail crime. They've increased the number of beat police in priority areas. Of course, that's going to take time. Not every retail area is going to see lots of police walking around. He says that, they're putting in place legislation to ensure tougher consequences for violent offenders. But what you've talked about too is maybe there's still more work to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do we use technology to help support keeping our stores safe and keeping workplaces a safe environment? So, technology can certainly play an important role in ensuring that we do that, and it's a preventative measure. So that means that, we're not dealing with other factors down the line. So looking right across a whole wide range of things to find solutions and levers that can be pulled to support the environment.